Chilly here with Sirius Talisman on Jupiter. Our Mercury day, we are 2 meters before the eclipse, and we're tending to what to expect upon cooling season 3, live case, not cold case, of a missing person. And this girl has been missing for a month. The previous case, the lady was found actually around after they published her missing um missing person note. And there was another person that was found today. So, yesterday, Olga was found, another person was found today. Good omen for finding missing people so far. So, now we're going to tend to the third case, and this is case of Malaki, Abigail Shalom. Again, youth 16, last seen 12th Yuli in Bat and there are 3 cities that she could be: Bat Yam, Hodaya, Moshav Hodaya, and Netanya. Um, all in Israel, of course. I'm tending to the structure of, which means that this is an episode that is relevant globally, and this is a study case that is local. Now, let's look at the chart. 12 July, I'm not going to have chart for 12 July, but I'm going to have chart for this very moment. And the chart is, again, Jupiter day, midheaven, ruled by Mars, 12 degrees Scorpio, ascendant ruled by Saturn. So the two malefics, Mars 0 degree, Cancer ruling over Saturn, again, world degree, and the moon is 18 degrees Leo, ruling over this Mars that rules over Saturn, in the 8th house in 18 degree. So that can be something that was toxic relation to do, can be with matter of the heart, or some sort of even toxic relation in the family. Now, it can range from a bitter argument that got a person to be bitter-hearted or to feel bitter-hearted, and then perhaps they went away or took space or whatnot. 8th house is interpersonal. So Sun can be here, father figures, or it can be an argument around visibility. And Saturn in the 4th house, she could have argued with parents around visibility if they have more religious settings, because this is Jupiter. Our Jupiter has to do with religion, spirituality, beliefs, even partner. And in 8th house, it means here that can be something that was maybe on the religious base. It can be that one of the parents was a bit more strict. It can also be, by the way, the other way around. It can be that she was secularized, or it can be that she wanted to be more strict, and it created an argument with someone either in the family, one of the parents, mother, father, or both. Um, and this is where she simply went missing. Neptune is in the 4th house. Neptune in the 4th house, first of all, gives better chances that she's either in the country or in the house of, because Mars is in the 7th, if she can be at some room that is like either a basement or a room that is a guest room, but something that is more enclosed, because 8th house rules over in closed spaces, and if she can be in the house of the partner or in the house of the partner of the parent if there is some sort of divorce issue, or the Neptune tells me that she's either in her home, her parent home, the home of somebody. The home is linked directly to her upbringing home where she is missing, or it can tell that she's missing from her home, but she can be, or she went missing from one of those places. But Neptune would also tell me there's a dual nature, so it would also tell me that she could be found in something that has the characteristic of a home. It can be in the same city even, or one of the cities that are to do with her parents, or their partners, or if she has partner, it can be the parents of the partner, and ascendant Capricorn. The placement, again, is a difficult placement. And we are, again, a degree, the moon is degree before eclipsing. So there's something incredibly fated around this case and the set of cases. That being said, we've been having 2 people returned. One of them, we saw a change of procedure when it came to the youth. They managed to publish the missing person note in the media, in the big media, before 48 hours, before even 24 hours. And this is good changes, good omens for this eclipse for me. I believe that there's good chances this girl would be found. And Ketu Regulus ruling this eclipse is not impossible, and the Mercury in 8th house. So this particular undertone, I believe, will spark perhaps even conversation or around the topic of religion and visibility, and the fact that we could lose the youth over such arguments. So the meaning, or the taking it from the local case to the general case, one particular way to avoid people going missing, particularly youth, is these arguments about how a person is dressed, how a person is looking like. Do they put on makeup or not put on makeup? Do they wear this type of clothes or that type of clothes? These type of arguments can cause people to go missing. Also between partners. I see a series of men that are going to totally abuse that. So Mercury, I'm not saying it necessarily has gender issues, but it also shows that whether it's about orthodoxy or what people call modesty, or whether it's about gender blender, okay, gender expression, or dressing in ladies' clothes, dressing in men's clothes, arguing about those things can cause people to go missing and make them susceptible to many things. And I think the meaning of this case around this eclipse is that we much rather disagree and tolerate than have people go missing. And this is a month, okay, a lunar calendar again. So would we rather have arguments about the skirts of the girls that but how many centimeters, or would we rather have people not going missing for months over such arguments? Very ominous, and the same when it comes to, let's say, gender blender and gender expression. So, and this is something that is both a topic of the eclipse. We might be purging those arguments. We might be reminded with this eclipse that more important for people to not run off or run away or run and hide because somebody thought the skirt is too short or too long, then, or that they should have been wearing pants or that they shouldn't have been wearing pants, or what type of makeup or what not, then to have people missing for a month, which is, yes, a month is not a cold case, but it is definitely risky, because when people, particularly people at the time of youth, and indeed Jupiter rules the youth as well, Mars, the young people, and Saturn, orthodoxy or restriction on the sovereignty. And this is where we are reminded that at the age where the developing brain is set to rebel the parents and go with the peers, this type of arguments can cause a person to say, okay, they strike their rebellion in their parents, they go out of the parents' home into another place, they don't know that other place well, and they could be subjected to many, many things that didn't happen because they wore this or wore that, but because somebody argued with them not to wear something, and eventually it was not the skirt or the short skirt or the makeup or even the long skirt or even the pants, but actually more risky was to hold society in a standard where the rebellion of children could put them in susceptibility to go missing. We are in time of war, so I don't think the world has time for parents that want to keep the skirt of their daughter long. There are other things, there are other security issues to care for, and as much as they want to secure their daughter or their partner or their sister, then much safer to have society where even if somebody goes, let's say, naked in the street, and I'm being extreme on purpose, then sunscreen in here is they would be cooked, but much better to have society that doesn't have this issue of visibility or dress codes than to tend to a 16 years old that went missing for a month over, I don't know, a lip gloss or something. Now, I do believe she has good chances to be found. Again, probably she has ran off to some place where she thought she would be safe. And if this argument is still withstanding, then it would make it difficult to find, because let's say she has boyfriend and the parent of the secular boyfriend knows she's not dating him. If it's two religions, then the plot thickens. But let's say that the parents of the boy know she's dating and help her to hide. they won't tell the parents, her parents, because they don't want to betray her trust. And now they could be effectively be seen as kidnapping her when they didn't. So, particularly if they fear that she will be beaten in her original house over something like a lip gloss or a skirt, or dating from a guy that is secular or from other religion. I know that some religions require search and rescue teams. But this is one of the things that this study case exposes, what could lead to her finding the eclipse itself. And the eclipse itself could lead to her finding by loss of the belief that protecting our daughters or sisters or partners or women is done by causing them to wear more, or by forcing them to either religiousify or change religion, or become secular or become orthodox. And this is beyond important. And when I was thinking on the bigger picture, the bigger chapters, particularly when I think about Vogue, when I think about what people call a colonialism, but also the timelines of Inquisition, then this is one case that comes around, again, 2 meters from the eclipse, that is profoundly reminding us, hey, if we want to keep our children or youth safe and not have to worry about them going missing, not because of a war, not because somebody kidnapped them, not because of organized crime. I mean, it is behind it, but whatever. But because the parents thought that they should not wear, I don't know, eye makeup, then we are reminded by such cases, and this happens in Israel, Palestine, if you will, with a girl of religion, Jew, kind of in between the crucifix and the Kaaba. So this is where, again, Jupiter hour reminding us that the beliefs around contracts can be purged, particularly those that are prescribed by the rabbinical or the Orthodox rabbinical, like in Hebrew there is ketubah, or is supposed to be symbolic for paying ransom for a right. And I think it's originated in Kettle as well. And yeah, actually Prophet Amos was a sheep breeder, and he had this revelation that the trafficking of daughters and the forced marriages of daughters will cause exile, and it would put the people that tell him to go and prophesy elsewhere in situation where their daughters could be subjected to trafficking if the fathers don't defend the daughters and don't abolish not only human trafficking but also I think in the Bible people kind of missed it because he was referring probably to the Ketubah. And yeah, so okay, Mercury's agreement
Regulus is prescribed by. If it's more cult-like setting, then it can be around, where the daughters had to be with the king before, kind of like what happened in Epstein. And this is, it reminds us that people could go missing and missing for months, and that it is risk to the youth. So this is really a study case. I do believe we have good omens for her return. The previous case, I believe she returned because, or she was found easily because they published the ad before 24 hours, which means they made the change that was essential. With Uranus, I said activism could change. In that case, it was press release that was revolutionized, not waiting to the 48 hours. And this is something that was contributing to her being found, because it was published and then she was found. But still, on the scale, much better to publish an ad of a missing person and have them found immediately, which also tells me that that was the thing. Okay, with Uranus, it's kind of like liberating. We make the change and then the person returns. This one, I have to admit, the change that it's calling for is slightly more intricate. So she could be found within the coming 6 months. She could be found due to purging certain ideas of orthodoxifying. And this tells me that this case is slightly more difficult. So we have a lot of good omens. If this girl does not come back, is not found today, I would see it as what I previously said is going to be, which means that it can take a couple of months, or that the topic that we need to purge is this topic that I mentioned with these arguments. And if this girl is not found today, it tells me that the sequence of missing people found today being broken by that one case that is missing, which, by the way, can happen with Neptune Mars. And we say, okay, but why that girl not? Or why Haymanut Kassar not yet? And Haymanut Kassar said is connected to second coming of Christ, because they talked about Isha Shechora, which means a black woman, or Christ being a black woman. Ethiopians hold the Book of Enoch. In Israel, Ethiopian women were castrated forcibly and without their, not just consent, but even knowledge. By psychiatric drugs, by the way. So psychiatric drugs are basically, people that were administered psychiatric drugs were basically castrated. They were registered for chemical castration. Whether it was important, whether some of them could have been child-free, but it's kind of like that's effectively and utilitarianly what this action does. May the class also ensue. Now this is and it's also about the questions of who can be married, who cannot be married, to whom, or if person is single. Okay, so those things are more intricate than changing the process of publishing. I can say it now because I've been talking about this since the first cold case that I looked at, which was Cassandra in Netherlands, that was looked at by Misdaad Verslaggever by Peter R. de Vries. But for me, it was like a rookie, new person looking at it, like, oh, why do they wait so long until they publish a missing person note? and I haven't stopped talking about that since then. So, and that was 2, 3 years ago, even more. It's kind of like, oh, it's supposed to be basic logic, but this is something that we saw change with case of Olga in Israel. In Netherlands, by the way, the rules for will and consent and juristic procedure were changed only in 2024. And that was something that I saw immediately, was kind of like, hey, this assassination was like femicide. And they're still living with the residues of femicide. And now, because it's around the eclipse, there can be fatal choices or dematerializing from monarchic or orthodox prescribed rules. Now here's the thing, Jupiter is ruling Rahu closer to Ketu. It means that they do want to, how should I say, in Hebrew they say, "Lachzir ateret liyoshna," basically in the land of jurisdiction means to retrieve to, or to go back to the pillars of law that were perhaps the time of Kingdom of David. And I believe that this will cause a profound provocation, and this missing case is reminding us what is the price of such moves. Are we willing to have a woman being sacrificed to go missing, to be susceptible to many things that can be quite gruesome, particularly with 18 degrees involved? And all in the name of this perhaps anachronistic ideal. And again, I'm not saying that things from the past cannot be rejuvenated, but it will force us to sort the wheat from the chaff. And I think this is what's happening with this case. Case of Haymanut Kassaw is at the core of what is challenging, because Haymanut Kassaw is a child. Remember, Virgin Mary was a 14 years old raped child that was said to have been a virgin that gave birth to a prophet. So the desire to improve a situation of BIPOC people, do we want it at the expense of normalizing pedophilia in the name of religion? And the book of Enoch was about creation of the Nephilim, or creation of hybrid children, or basically, colloquialistically, one could think about the concept children of God. And I refer you to Meeting Cult Lady, who is a survivor of Children of God cult, which was child trafficking cult. People got excited about the fact that she was labor trafficked as a clown at hospital. That was not the only issue that happened there. That's not what sparked her writing a book about this called The Culting of America. Then she moved to be employed by the Army and the intelligence. And so that it's also kind of cult-like. Now, according to her. Yes, but this is the type of case, and this is why Haymanut Kassaw case is taking so many 900 days. But I put these cases not together, okay? We don't have a melanated woman that is also actually a melanated girl, juxtaposed to a religion that has a book of Enoch and the second coming of Christ aspirations, but it's still a very important argument about the juristication, the religiousification, the orthodoxification, and the ideals of modesty that perhaps are not in line with actually protecting not just our daughters, but our people. And again, I remind people of Prophet Amos and the concept of these forced ideas of modesty ending up as exile. And I dare say exile, inquisition, holocausts, and child trafficking within the promised land. So here Prophet Amos Yirmiyahu was prophesying from Babylon. Prophet Amos was prophesying from within what they called the promised land. So two very important cases. It's a complicated case. I don't predict this to be, but the juxtaposition of two people found. The other person, I did not even manage to do episode before he was found. So two people found, young girl, young boy found. Yesterday, for example, we found bodies. Yes, I was not at the research and rescue team, but I was checking the news. And yesterday, we found bodies. Today, we found living people. And then that missing is not a pattern that we would expect. I know this is not a statistical analysis thing, but we don't want 30 cases. That is the minimum for statistical analysis models. We don't, I said that about world wars in the past. The world wars was a running statistics jokes in politics and governance. But if we take it, the comparison to missing people cases, we don't want 30 missing people every day for a statistical analysis to be made. So we are doing approximate combining astrology, looking at the omens and the signs. And another thing with Neptune, somebody could have had missing clothes, or somebody, if I think about the fact that I'm an absolutely secular person and there's air conditioning where I'm at, and then if I go on a walk, I don't have the power to remove the upper shirt. So it could be misattributed to religion where it's not. The opposite case can also be, so Neptune can also be a sudden curation or miraculous curation, that which was missing. But it can also be something has to be surrendered, like what type of clothing, what type of visibility. Okay, for example, I don't know, somebody had a sugar drop and they ate a popsicle. So let's say it was a cherry popsicle, now the lips are red and everybody thinking they are putting makeup on. But, well, the other case, which is somebody's at the air conditioner all day, they put on another shirt, they go out and they don't have the power to remove that upper shirt, and they look like they're religious when they're totally secular. Jupiter can be shoes. Mercury can be earrings. Moon, sun can be visibility, or even the make-up or how we make our visibility. Moon can be bra. the type of bra, if they chose, let's say, I don't know, to wear bra or not to wear bra, or if the shirt is exposing, let's say, the breasts. But Venus in Libra in her home sign, it can look like there was something radically appeasing that was unusual. Okay, if I take a look at myself and I'm like, it looks like I'm blending in the crowd when I'm absolutely secular. So I was absolutely not appeasing anybody, but but the suddenness, yeah, it's kind of like being comfortable, agreed with being overdressed, let's say. And Mercury trines Neptune here and is in a bisextile with Uranus and Venus. So there was something here that could have been an accidental lie, could have been something that is, and by the way, this can be a condition that can contribute to fighting her. For example, if she's, let's say she's in a place where there's air conditioning, and she puts something on because it's cold. Then she goes out, I don't know, to buy something at the grocery store, and then people can find her and they can think that she's appeasing her parents, where she's actually not, but then it can be kind of like a sulha, or kind of like a, or the parents can think that she's well dressed, so to speak, and they can find her and then discover that she was just wearing something because she was extremely cold. and then that they could probably rethink, do they want her to go missing for a month again? So this is something that can be contributing to her being found. After the eclipse, the moon would leave the 8th house. I think we are having the ruler, yes, is already in the 7th house. So moon in 7th house, moon would leave the eclipse, but tomorrow moon goes over Ketu. So the cause of disagreement, if it was a contractual or a prescribed agreement, this could be purged by tomorrow. Mercury could also be that somebody made a promise and they were lying about it, and they were worrying about this, and they were this and they were that. That issues could be resolved by tomorrow. And what happens in eclipse is usually that we are losing something or making space for something. I do believe that this is about the beliefs, the stubbornness of the families or the environment. Because if not, then what we are losing is her, which would be profoundly disturbing, and it would put Prophet Amos' timeline on the menu for the world. So the world should actually be following these two cases. Okay, why? Because it would mean that what is Prophet Amos is activating what? Timeline of, if Prophet Amos is not listened, then timeline of exile ensues. Timeline of exile follows timeline of inquisition, of conversion, and so on. Let's do current horary for Haymanut Kasau, if we're already at it. 22 midheaven Scorpio, ascendant 5 degrees Aquarius, Mars hour, midheaven ruled by Mars. Mars in the 6th house, Moon in the 7th. It can have to do with genocide on the basis of these topics. It can have to do with, because midheaven, Mars, Moon is, midheaven is 22, so it's to kill or be killed, but it's midheaven. Midheaven is not ascendant, and is not the person who is asking the question is me, which is 5 degrees Aquarius ascendant. Saturn in Mars sign, one of the heritage, one of the people, one of the bloodline, not by being Ethiopian, but by, let's say, I don't know, people of Israel or whatnot. And midheaven is more to do with what Haymanut Kassaw was known for, which again I talked about the second coming of Christ, and this is Book of Enoch, Ethiopian girl, young girl, and midheaven 22. And this is where Mars is in sixth house, house of health, health of what? Of the people in seventh house, of enmity with some sort of royalty, with some sort of monarchy. So it could be people being murdered or inquisitioned because of religion, or in that case, religious murder. Was Haymanut Kassaw religiously murdered? No, not necessarily. The Jupiter and Mercury are not in any little degrees here. They are on the descendant. So she could have been partnerified, or she could have been basically the question, the person that I'm asking the question about, and she's not directly ruled by the moon, and not ruling the moon, is actually ruling by the sun in the solar eclipse. So we could be removing the mystery around Haymanut Kassaw. In that case, I don't suspect necessarily that she was murdered, but this could be something that could be associated with the timelines of religious persecution of people. And it could be regarding the Ethiopian society, that their religion can no longer be secret because it's relevant to the case. Or it can be Judaic tradition, if we take it to, or it can be, if we think about second coming of Christ, we can think about Christianity at large. And in any case, it is about people and the Scorpio. What type of leadership is Scorpio? It's very investigative, or and actually kind of risky for me. Because usually I would look for myself as the ascendant, but midheaven is also kind of like, okay, what is somebody known as? And we're tending to a missing person case. So I hope everything will be okay. Yeah. These are the two cases. Again, almost nothing before the eclipse. The fact that missing people cases is coming up before the eclipse strongly tells me that we could be resolving some missing cases mystery. I know that there were more shipwrecks that were suddenly found, or things that went missing years ago that were suddenly found today. They also found in Lebanon the grave of a person that went missing in literally 1948 or 1949. I remember I saw his picture when I looked at the missing persons list when I was looking for Haymanut Kassaw, that she wasn't on that list from where I was looking at the website of the missing people. And so that's how I recognized his picture. So we had extremely cold cases of people being found, a strike of people being found, men, women, youth, old cases, new cases, and it's going to accentuate profoundly if there are cases where the person hasn't been found yet. It's going to just look incredibly weird with all these lucky strikes. Like, why Why not Heimanut? Why not the lady that went missing a month ago? And this is actually something that I wasn't quite expecting. In kind of like it wasn't in my bingo for this eclipse to be about missing people. Um, yeah. And this is Abigail Shalom.